Hey y'all, welcome back to Simple Sanctuary Garden. My name is Sarah. It has been a very long time since we hung out. I apologize for that, but it's the first day of 2022. It is stunningly beautiful outside, and I thought, what better way to catch up than to just dive right back into it and give you guys a tour around this incredible garden. It's been a really mild few months. By mild, I mean not cold at all. It's actually been pretty hot. So things are growing well, and it's too beautiful not to share. So, in case you're new here, or it's just been so long that you've forgotten, I garden in my suburban backyard in North Central Florida, which is why you're going to hear a lot of my neighbor's dog today. This garden is my sanctuary. This is where I come to decompress, to just spend some time outside, to really take care of myself. It's honestly my ultimate form of self-care. So what I want to do today is take you through the garden. We're going to start on one side and move to the other because I have some really exciting updates that I can't wait to show you. And I don't want to spoil the big surprise for the end. So first things first is my Christmas present. My husband got me a new garden bed for Christmas. I'm really excited about it because, as you can see, it's got this little tent structure. There is a little plastic greenhouse cover that can go over it. And while our weather has not been cool at all yet, it's always possible. So I'm going to be using this as my seed starting station while there's a risk of cold weather, and just throwing that cover over the top of this for all of my seedlings. Now, like I said, it has not been cool yet, so I am taking a major risk and starting some things that are typically considered out of season right now, such as tomatoes and peppers. Again, I live in Florida. The high was 83 today. This is prime tomato growing weather. Actually, I'm a little frustrated at myself because I had beautiful tomatoes growing that I ripped out, didn't start any fall tomatoes, and I could have been growing them all winter, but I didn't. So I'm starting these early, I guess, to make up for that. For those of you that have been around for a while, the ziggurats are still doing beautifully. They're actually doing a little bit better than they did over the summer, and that's because ironically, they're getting more light in the winter than they did in the summer. One of the trickiest parts of gardening is doing light mapping. If you guys are interested in light mapping, let me know. We can talk about it. It's a lot of fun. But if you looked directly above me right now, you would see a ton of branches. And in the summer, those are filled with very lush green leaves, which are beautiful, but completely block out the sun. And so with the tilt of the earth and the light coming in at a different angle and all the leaves being down, I get a lot more growth out of these beds now than I did in July. So I think these might end up being shady beds. I definitely get more use out of them in the winter. I don't know what that's going to mean for next summer. I'm still working out my full plan, but it's an interesting shift. We've also got my seed starting steps. I don't know if y'all can hear that. My air conditioning just turned on. There is something particularly depressing about your air conditioning turning on January 1st. Whatever. But my seed starting step. Seed starting steps. This is another still in progress ziggurat type construction. I usually do a lot of seed starting right here. You can see I've got some peas that I'm hoping to have climbing on chain link during the spring. I've never grown peas before. I'm really hoping it's not already too hot for them. Again, we have not really gotten cool. It's been very, very warm. So this might not be something that I'm actually capable of growing. If you are a Central Florida gardener, please let me know how that goes for you and any tricks and tips you have, because I am far from an expert there. So one of my New Year's resolutions, we all make them even when we say we don't, is to share more with y'all on how I use the garden, not just on how to garden, but how I use it. I call this my simple sanctuary garden, and that's because that's how I use it, but I haven't shown you that. And I think it's something that after the past couple of years, you may actually find really useful. So in, the upcoming videos this year, I plan on showing you not just how to grow things like these cabbages, which are so far the most successful cabbages I've ever grown, but also how to enjoy it and how to let the garden work for you, not just you work to produce things. So as I mentioned, this is my cabbage bed. This is actually the very first bed we ever made. It is still going very strong. These cabbages, my most successful cabbages ever, they are not from seed. So if you watched the last video, which I will put in a card somewhere, I talked about how I left seeds out overnight and I tried to save them. They did not save. Sorry, I needed to switch arms. They did not save. So these cabbages are all from starts. I did not start these seeds. They are successful cabbages nonetheless. Do not be afraid to go out and buy some starts if your seeds don't work. I know a lot of us talk about seed saving and buying seeds from all of these great companies with these beautiful catalogs. But if they don't start, they don't start. So just go get some baby plants. Over here we have our second bed we ever built, also still going strong. And you'll notice that we have quite the assortment of plants in here. We have a perennial flower, some peppers that we also treat as perennials because we don't have any kind of a harsh winter, as you can tell. A lot of peppers just keep going here. On the rare occasion we do have a frost, I have frost fabric that I throw over them, so we can actually grow peppers year-round a lot of times. And next to the peppers, carrots. Very excited about those. They're something that I like to grow over the winter and into the spring because that's when it's easiest here. In the summer, it's just too hot. All right, slowly and steadily making our way across the yard. We are now to the bean beds. These are also corn beds during the summer. These are some of my husband's experiments. These beans that you see are sixth generation black beans from seeds he's been saving to get bigger black bean pods, hardier plants. I don't think black beans are actually native to a climate like this, so it's been a bit of a struggle to help them handle the heat, handle actually flooding. Our backyard tends to flood. But these are all 6th generation black beans. They are beautiful. We've got a lot of high hopes for them. And these are some more containers of beans, radishes, some strawberries, sort of a makeshift container garden. You'll notice a lot of times in our garden, we use containers, raised beds, things to get these plants up off the ground, and that is because our yard tends to flood, and our soil is mostly sand, so there's not much nutrients in it. If we want to grow things pretty successfully, we tend to have to use containers. Up next, we have the figurat, which is a ziggurat with a fig in it. We're nerdy like that. It's doing really well. We bought this little guy off the clearance rack at Walmart for $5. And he lived in a pot for years. He is now in a bed, doing very well. He's very happy. I do realize that eventually that's going to get big to the point that down here is not really usable planting space. But that is a long time coming. So I'm not terribly worried about it. And I filled this in with some cabbages. Now, all of these starts are, okay, also these are starts again because, again, I left my seeds outside and ruined them. All of these starts are the exact same age as those bigger cabbages over there. You can see the huge difference that light makes. Those first cabbages I showed you get beautiful morning light. These cabbages get very little direct light. They get a lot of ambient light. I wouldn't even say they're necessarily, well, I guess that is the definition of shade, isn't it? Anyway, because of the angle of the sun right now, they don't get a ton of light, and that has definitely stunted or slowed their growth in a major way. I am considering digging them up and transplanting them. I don't know where I would put them, so I haven't done that yet. But it is a big difference, right, between those beautiful cabbages that are my most successful to these. All right. Are y'all ready for my really big update? I'm very excited because they haven't really spoiled the surprise. But I have a really big update, and it feels like such a huge milestone. Those of you who follow me on Instagram already know. I'm so excited. But here it is. I got chickens! Hey, sweetie. You want to make your YouTube debut? So, chickens. Maybe they'll come and visit while I'm talking. We'll see. So we were told chickens are the gateway animal for a homestead. We're not really allowed a lot of animals in the suburbs, but I can absolutely see it. We're already, understanding or thinking or dreaming, whatever, about goats and cows and everything else. And we've only had these beauties for like a few weeks, like 6 weeks. These chicks reminded me of, really what the goal of all of this gardening was. And it was to create a space where I could just, I think practice self-care is probably the best phrase for it. A combination of healing, a combination of relaxing, a combination of just processing the world around me. And there's a lot that I want to show y'all on how to do things. There's a lot that I want to show y'all on what I'm doing, because I am far from an expert and could use some help. But there's also a lot that I want to show y'all on just how to be in the garden after a year, a very tough year, following another very tough year, and the incredible amounts of burnout and just fatigue that we're all feeling. I think it's time that I bite the vulnerable bullet and show you all how I use my garden. I don't know if you can actually see any of my chickens. Me sitting in the chicken yard filming this may have been for naught. Hopefully you can see them. I'll be sure and get some B-roll of them being adorable. I want to thank you all for sticking with me after a fairly long and unannounced break. I also want to thank all of you who prayed for myself and my family, and especially my father, over the past couple of months. And your prayers did wonders, and I really thank you for it. I hope you enjoyed our reintroduction and our catch-up chat. I will be back very soon. I have videos planned out for, again, self-care in the garden, what we do to have chickens in our backyard in suburbia, and what else? Garden tours, seed starting. We're jumping into the thick of it. It is that time of year. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. We'll talk soon.